Hi everyone! I got another spoiler-free review of a recent read that I did. It is a non-fiction feminist book called Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given. This was an amazing read. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is basically about how the patriarchy hurts everyone in the world, including people of colour, trans people, queer people, men, women, everyone. It specifically talks on feminism, as this is a woman's take on the patriarchy, and it talks a lot about self-love, how to respect yourself in this sort of society, how to protect yourself, and how to be aware if you are holding these beliefs yourself, and how to handle these beliefs if someone else is having them around you. It talks about many aspects, and in all honesty, I won't be able to fit that into one video, so I really recommend you check this out on Goodreads. It is an amazing book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Time for me to get into my views. The pros of this book is that it doesn't shy away from sharing its opinion, and it is a very well educated book. It talks a lot on every single aspect of how the world affects people and the many different forms of oppression and the many different forms of privilege, and how you may be a queer person but you're white, so you experience white privilege, but you will experience oppression due to being part of the LGBT. It is amazing in how it dissects society in a way that makes more sense. It is a brilliant introduction and something I recommend for everyone in their late teens to early 20s to read, specifically if you want to get into books like this. It has some beautiful illustrations. It talks on how we as a society believe in these things that we really shouldn't believe in, and how they affect people in ways that we never really thought as to how they will affect them. I love how this book expands upon these points of views in a way that it is effective and easy to understand. It has some really lovely metaphors that really help. It also really does make sense in how it explains it. So that's why I really think it's a really good way for a person in their teens to understand society in a much better form. I encourage this to be read by any teenager, and in fact anyone at all, but specifically teenagers. I would make it a bit 18s plus, as it does discuss some aspects of what women experience. There are trigger warnings at the beginning of those chapters, but if not, just have an adult or someone that you have a good relationship with nearby that you can have an open and good discussion with about the topics in these books, because there are trigger warnings at the beginning of 3 chapters for sexual assault. There are some cons of this book that I would like to talk about, which is just the fact that I feel like there should have been people with different voices who have experienced different things from the society, and that way we could expand upon those, as this is a very limited point of view on, for example, people of colour's experience, as this is a white woman has written this book, and same with people with disabilities or trans people. I wish that there were more of those voices in this book as well. There's also just some repetitive writing. Florence did have a limited way of explaining things, and did result in just repeating a point several times, which got a little repetitive, but that's okay because she had a very good point in every single chapter that she made. The other one is just that there was a lot of checklists with basic information, and it would have been nice to have just seen something expanded upon more in this. We should have seen a bit more than just those basic points. Yes, they are important things to add in, but there is so much more in these situations because they are never that simple, and having a few more not really as known sexist or homophobic or racist things that are said in this book with the microaggressions would have been very refreshing to see, as we don't really see this all that often, and we often only see those basic, common, very known microaggressions and blatant racism, disrespect, homophobia, etc. in books. But I feel like it still really did make its point. I would have just liked to have seen like some interviews with women of colour and what they experience with what they experience with sexism and racism and how it intertwines. I would have really liked that. It did touch a lot on biphobia, which I really appreciated, but I would have liked how it touched on other forms of phobia towards queer women and how that does differ depending on race, disability, class. It's just there's so much factor in how the world affects people, and I wish it just expanded upon it a little bit more than just sticking to just this one side, because it is so much more in society just than these things. But all in all, still an amazing read. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm so sorry. It is very hot. It's 36 degrees today, so I'm really struggling to get my point across, and I need to turn the fan back on. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and tell me if you've read this book and if you enjoy it yourself. I would love some more recommendations on feminist books or books on how the world affects people with racism, sexuality, disability and etc. I would love that. I also wanted to quickly let you know that I made a Bookstagram. It's here. I post book related content, aesthetic photos and reviews on there, and I'm thinking of expanding upon it. And I would also like to quickly say I want to read books on TikTok Live, so here's my TikTok handle if you are ever wanting to know what my handles are. It's all in the description below. I hope you'll have an amazing day or night. I'm really not good at outros. It's stinking hot. Goodbye.